Okay. Hello. Welcome to But First Foreplay, sponsored by Field. I'm going to jump right in because I am always very ambitious with what I want to cover in an hour because my workshops are usually 2 hours. So I'm going to just jump right in, and what people catch, people catch. So I'm going to set some ground rules, even though it's not a typical workshop. Just because afterwards, if you head to Field, the app, there is a Q&A afterwards, and I do want these ground rules to kind of make it over to the app. So a little bit about me. My name is Carly. If you want to follow me on social media, it is Makeup and Sin, pretty much anywhere where you'll find me, and that's Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. If you play Pokemon Go, it's Makeup and Sin. So Makeup and Sin across the board. I have been a educator and in the industry for over a decade. I have done everything from work in retail shops to help design products, to be the buyer, to teaching workshops, to making educational content, to making fun, spicy content, to being a pro dom. So I have my fingers in lots of different parts of the industry. So you can see me giving toy advice, to picking toys for a Spectrum boutique, to using toys on OnlyFans. So depending on how you want to see me interacting with toys, you have a lot of options. If you are inspired after the workshop and you're like, I really want to get some of these products that Carly has talked about, feel free to use the code FIELD at spectrumboutique.com. You'll get 20% off. One mic, one diva just means that if someone is talking or asking a question, let them have the floor. So we don't want to talk over anyone, which is hard here. It's impossible, actually. And don't yuck anyone's yum, which is going to be a bigger factor in the group chat. Basically, if I'm talking about something or someone else is bringing up something that has no interest to you, don't go, ugh, or really give any sort of negative opinion about it. By all means, talk all the crap you want at home, but you don't want to discourage someone from trying something that might be the most pleasurable experience of their life. Just because we want everyone to have the most pleasure-filled experience that they could possibly have, and we don't want to discourage anyone from experiencing any sort of pleasure by shaming them. So don't yuck anyone's yum. If it's not for you, just let it go. And lessons leave, but stories stay. So that means if I am talking about what ingredient to look out for in lube, or how the clit has legs, then by all means tell those stories to your friends. Those are things that I want you to share wildly. But if someone is telling a personal story or an anecdote, those are the things that we're going to kind of treat like Vegas. We're going to keep those in here in this group, even though it is a live stream. So those are things that we're not going to pass along to everybody. And we're going to jump right in. So what is this particular workshop about? It's going to be a little bit about foreplay, which is really encompassing a lot of things. It's really about setting the mood, creating erotic scenes, incorporating toys and different tools into setting up the scenes that you're going to do. It's temperature play, it's dirty talk, it's consent. It's a little bit of everything. So that's why I jumped right in and kind of got the ball rolling. So we're going to cover a lot of different things in an hour, which is not a little bit of time, but it's not a lot of time. So good sex starts at the lips. And I don't mean oral sex, not this time around. So what I mean when I say that is everyone is different with what they enjoy. I can give you 1,000,001 tips here, and it's not going to be a stand-in for actually talking to your partner and asking them what they like, or kind of exploring that together. Unfortunately, we're not mind readers. We have to communicate with each other and kind of figure out what we like that way. So we have to talk about it. We have to experiment. We have to figure it out that way. We can't just assume what the other person's going to like based on what they look like, based on any sort of thing about them, their race, their gender, their sexuality. That doesn't define their sexual preferences in the bedroom at all. So you're going to have to ask. And, you might have the same kink and you'll never know until you ask. So you both might be really, really into temperature play, and you won't know until you ask. So it might be a pleasant surprise, or it might be something that you're not a match for, and both of those things are perfectly fine. So communication is the most important thing that you're going to learn in this workshop, is talking about it with your partner or your play partner. Yes, no, maybe lists are a really great tool for communication if you're really not sure where to start or it's a new partner. They're a really great jumping off point. And if you don't know what a yes, no, maybe list is, the internet is a great resource. You can literally type in yes, no, maybe list, and lots of people have put them together for you. You can download them and kind of adjust what sex acts are on there. So you can put things that you really want, which could be like sugar babying or water sports or pillow princessing, or whatever really appeals to you that you want to see if the person that you're interested in is interested in. And how they work is that you want to meet on neutral ground because you want all the blood to be in the big head and not the little head down below. And you're both going to fill them out on separate ground, and then you're going to meet at like a coffee shop or somewhere where you're not like having spicy time, and you're going to talk about it. And the reason why you're going to talk about it is because if you both said yes to strap-on sex, that doesn't mean that you're both ready to go have strap-on sex now, because it still requires a conversation. Because if you both show up with a strap-on, now who's the top and who's the bottom, right? So it still requires some conversations to happen. So just because you're both into a thing, it still requires a little bit of negotiation or figuring out the logistics of things. And just because something is a yes today, it might not be a yes tomorrow, or it might not be a no tomorrow. And a maybe is, something that could just mean like, let's do some more research about it. So these are things that are ongoing and living documents that can be ever evolving. But they're really fun ways to kind of get the ball rolling in open communication, and a low pressure way to kind of figure out like what you're into and what overlap you guys have on like interests. And if they don't know what they like, find out together. And what that means is we don't inherently get pleasure-based anatomy in class and sex ed. A lot of us don't get sex ed at all. So really exploring your sexuality and going to classes like this and reading about it and exploring on your own is really important, because generally speaking, most people don't have access to this information. So you have to make a point of exploring it yourself. So there's no need to be ashamed of, no matter how old you are, and not knowing the things that you like, because it's a journey and it's also ever evolving. You might have never liked backdoor stuff, and now that you're older, you might absolutely love it. So explore, and like experiment with new people. You never know what's gonna like really ring your bell. And communicate what isn't working in a sexy way. Humans are sensitive creatures, and we don't like to hear negative feedback, especially if we're naked and we're vulnerable. No one wants to be with genitals in their mouth and hear like, oh, you're doing a bad job. So keep that in mind when you're giving someone feedback, that the best way to do that is to try and give it in a positive way. So if someone is doing something that isn't really enjoyable for you, the best way to frame it is in a positive way. So it could be like, I could really use a lot more lube right now, or a lighter touch, or a little bit to the left, or can we move on to another thing right now? Whatever it is, like framing it in a way and offering up a suggestion for something else to do is a positive way to kind of move on from the thing that you're not enjoying, or kind of redirect it in a way that's not going to hurt someone's feelings. And safe words are a really important tool in BDSM. So if you're playing with sort of any sort of non-consent in any way, so if you're like doing a scene where you're like trying to play around with no, stop, but you really mean yes, go, you really want to make sure you have a safe word. And a lot of people use very simple ones like red, yellow, green, and it's as simple as you think it is. So red is stop, green is go, and yellow means slow down and check in on me. So if you're doing a scene where you're like getting spanked and you're like, no, stop, you're hurting me, don't. But really you mean absolutely keep spanking me. I'm loving every second of it. have a safe word so that if you really do mean stop, you can say red or yellow so that your partner knows that, like, hey, I'm not just like in the scene joking around. I am serious and I need you to check in on me. So having a safe word when you're doing any sort of scene like that is very important. And making it a form of dirty talk. So checking in with your partner should be a sexy way to do it. Like communication should be sexy all across the board. So like it shouldn't be a chore to check in with your partner. It should be a sexy, fun thing that you're doing. So here are some dirty talk ideas and some jumping off points. So like yes or no questions. Would you like it if I got the magic wand or the dildo? Would you like it if we went to the bed or the couch? Do you want more of this? Is this good for you? Either or questions. Do you want a firmer or a gentler touch? Do you want slower or faster? Open-ended questions. How do you feel about what's happening right now? What would rock your world right now, to kind of get your person talking and kind of figuring out like where they want the scene to move. More teasing questions. I know you want what's under this shirt. Make me come. I'll do whatever you tell me to do. Want you to play with me. Those types of things. You can get a little bit more aggressive with than that. I'm gonna hold you down and do other things to you. Can you handle what I'm gonna do to you? You can praise and like ego boosting is my favorite form of dirty talk. So if you're complimenting me, then just know that like that is the best way to get me going. So ego stroking and like, you're the best I've ever had. Tell me you want me. Like, you're so hot. You're the hottest I've ever had. Those are the best dirty talk for me. But, and I can't imagine that most people are not going to enjoy that. So compliments are always a great place to go if you're really not sure about what to say. And demanding or instructive. So like, give it to me how I like it, or tell me what you're going to do to me. Have them like use their words and describe what's happening. Using their words and be descriptive. So tell them to describe what they're doing, what they're feeling, what they're tasting, what they're smelling, what they're seeing. And you can even use dirty talk as a tool of fantasy. So you could talk about fantasies that you want to happen, about like threesomes or orgies or public play that you want to do, or any other taboo thing that you may not even actually want to do. You can talk about it as just a fantasy fodder while you're fooling around, or just on the couch talking about things and creating this like fantasy tapestry of stuff and like doing this thing and enjoying that moment. If you want more dirty talk tips, if you go to my blog, which is dildo-or-dildon't.com, I have lots more dirty talk tips. I've been on a podcast talking about dirty talk. If you just type in dirty talk in the search bar, all that information will come up. So if you want more of this, there's more of that at dildo-or-dildon't.com. Okay, so foreplay and like setting the mood and really creating an erotic scene. The first thing that I want you to think of is undisturbed time. So if you want to give you and your partner a sensual experience, you want to create undisturbed time, which means that you are going to lock the dog out of the room. You're going to turn your phone on silent. You're going to make sure the roommates are out of the house. Whatever it is that's going to cause a distraction, you're going to make sure that those things are not going to happen at that point. So whatever that means to you, whatever the distraction is, you're going to actively make sure that that's not going to happen at the time that you are trying to create this erotic moment. So if you know that like construction happens between 6 and 6, that's not when you're going to try and plan your spicy time. You're going to have to plan it at 7 p.m. at night, whatever it is. So like plan around whatever the distractions are. So like really be intentional about the time that you're planning and make sure that there's undisturbed time. And stimulating oils and gels is a really great way to kind of enhance foreplay and kind of make it more intense and kind of bring it to the next level without even adding touch to the table yet. And a lot of stimulating gels and oils you'll see in like shops or other things are overly gendered. You'll see like for women or for men or what have you. And a lot of them are the same thing in different packages. So how they work is I have one right here. This one is just Southern butter. It's one of my favorite ones. It's all natural. It's one of the more intense ones because it's an oil-based one, so you can't really wash it off. But how it works is you can put it on nips, clit, or on the head of the penis. It's all the same kind of tissue. And what it does is it brings the blood to the surface and make things more sensitive and tingly. So you can put that on and walk around and send flirty texts or know your partner is coming over or do the dishes and just have yourself be getting turned on. Whatever it is that you want to do and just have yourself be getting warmed up and like start getting the juices flowing. These are a really great way to do that without any sort of erotic touch at all. And if you know your nipples are really sensitive, this is a great way to make them even more sensitive. If you know your clit is not that sensitive, this is a great way to make it more sensitive. So, you know, if you're on either end of the spectrum, this is a great way to kind of play around with sensitivity. And there's different varying levels of it. There are ones that are like super intense, and on Spectrum, I try to make it really clear. I'm the person that adds the products. So they'll say like super intense for ones that are more intense and like more gentle for more gentle ones. So I try to make it as clear as possible, but you can always email info@Spectrum Boutique if you have a product question, or you can DM Makeup and Sin. I love to answer product questions for recommendations for products. Okay, so using the 5 senses to create an erotic scene now. Sense of sight. This is one of the most important ones for most people. So wearing what makes you feel the sexiest. So a lot of people get caught up on lingerie and think that it only has to be like lacy, really expensive, like lingerie, and that's all it can ever be. But really, if you feel your sexiest in a tank top or a flannel shirt or a leather jacket or a harness or whatever it is that makes you feel the sexiest, like play around with different things that make you feel sexy, because you might find something that is really affirming to your gender or your body, and that really just makes you feel better about yourself. Because once you find something that really just like fits your body and is like feels really flattering and affirming for you, it's really just a magical experience. Like, for example, I am very into like masculine folks that look like lumberjacks. So if my partner puts on a flannel and like looks like he's about to chop down a tree, game on. So, you know, lingerie is in the eye of the beholder. So get creative with it. Playing around with the lights in the room so it feels more cozy and sexy. If you've been to hotels, you've noticed that there's lamps in the room. If you watch HGTV, they're very intentional about making sure that there's lamps in the room. As I've gotten older, lamps are very, very important to me. Overhead lighting is not flattering for anybody at all, ever. So if you want flattering lighting, just make sure you get yourself at least like 2 or 3 different points of light that are a lamp. If you really want to take it to the next level, if you can get light bulbs that change color, pink is going to be kind of like an IRL filter. If you have something that you are maybe self-conscious about, maybe like stretch marks or like something like that, like pink light really softens everything. So like it truly is like a real life filter. Like if you notice that like I do have a ring light on, but I have all the other lights a color, I can control all the lights in my house because I like to truly create an erotic experience in my whole house. And I'm not joking. Like I walk the walk of the things that I talk about. So like I can control all the lights in my house and make them all different colors, because it really does change the mood in the room. And like it makes it cozier, or it can make it sexier, or it can make it brighter and like happier. So like playing around with the lighting and the coloring in the room can really make a huge difference. And like looking up color theory and stuff like that can make a big difference. So like trust me, like HGTV does not have it wrong. Get a lamp, trust me. Watching porn or placing a mirror by your bed can create visual interest. So even if you're not ready to bring other people into the bedroom, or everyone is busy that night, you can still have some visual interest of other people having sex by having porn on the television, or you can watch your hot self having porn by having a mirror by the bed. So like creating visual interest that way is really, really hot. Sense of sound, talking dirty to yourself or your partner. Even if you're alone, I recommend talking dirty to yourself and calling yourself the sexiest person alive. It's great for your ego. It will never hurt your feelings. It's always fun. But like honestly, like talking dirty and like using communication is going to be the best way to get the things that you want. Allowing yourself to make the noises that feel natural. And what I mean by that is a lot of folks hold back on the noises that they naturally want to make. So that could be heavy breathing, that could be moaning, that could even just be like cursing under your breath. Whatever noises that you want to make that feel natural to you, I implore you to make those sounds. Just because if you are consciously holding back the sounds that you want to make, that's the thing that you're concentrating on, and you're not concentrating on the pleasure that you're feeling. You're concentrating on being quiet. So release those feelings. Don't think about being quiet and just make the noises that you want to make. And I've gotten the question before, what if someone makes fun of the sounds that I make? Don't sleep with them. If someone doesn't like the sounds that you're making of pleasure, then they're not the lid to your pot, and you should not give them access to your body. Just bottom line, they don't deserve it. They have lost access to the pleasure that you give. They don't deserve it. Curating a sexy playlist. Fun fact, went to school for music, so I have a lot of really fun information about music that goes unused. But the perfect beats per minute for like having sex or running or like exercise in general is 120 beats per minute. It has something to do with our heart rate. So you don't have to take a metronome to music. Don't worry. People have done the work for you. So if you Google pop songs, 120 beats per minute, R&B songs, 120 beats per minute, rock songs, 120 beats per minute, all of these songs will come up, and then you can curate a playlist that's all in the same tempo. Or you can curate a playlist that's slower if you want like a slower experience, or you can build a playlist that gradually gets faster. Whatever really floats your boat. But like having stuff in the same tempo is really, really, it's just going to build a better mood. And then you're doing some sort of mental foreplay for yourself, because you're like, I'm creating this sexy playlist that's going to play when my partner is over, and I'm going to drop it like it's hot when Beyonce comes on at this point. Like, so you're doing all this mental foreplay of like all these sexy things that are going to happen when you're playing the sexy playlist. Plus you're ensuring that nothing weird comes on, like U2 or something that you don't find sexy when this playlist is happening. And sense of sound, if you want, you can also put porn on in the background, so then you have the sounds of sex happening in the background with people that are paid to make it sound real good. And if that's not something that does it for you, you can even have an erotica audiobook playing in the background, and someone will read you a sexy story. So there's lots of ways to create audio interest in the background that's not you talking dirty, if that's something that you're not ready for yet. Sense of touch. So when you're in bed, you want to extend foreplay by at least 10 minutes. And again, foreplay is anything that's happening before you're really going for any sort of sexy activity. So that's before oral, before kissing, before anything like that. So I'm not even talking about like, you're not even kissing yet. So you're caressing your partner, you're rubbing their leg, you're playing footsie with them, you're teasing them a lot. So what you're doing is you're building blood flow, and the more blood flow that you build, the bigger of a release it's going to be, if that's what you're building to. So the more teasing and stuff like that you can do, the more blood flow and lubrication, and the better of a climax you can get for your partner, the more teasing you do. With the sense of touch also, paying attention to the fabrics that you're wearing on your body, or like throws that you put on your couch. So paying attention to the textures in the room around you is going to be really important. So soft fabrics, things that feel really nice to touch, things that feel nice to like rub on your partner's body, paying attention to those types of things can create like a whole erotic experience. So like a soft pillow, a soft blanket, all these things can create a really nice erotic experience if someone is coming to your house. And skin craves variety. So thinking outside of just soft things, so like feathers are wonderful, but like if you're running your fingers on your partner, those are wonderful too. Like I have really great nails. I love to use them to run them on people's skin. You can also use a hairbrush. You can use, if you have a flogger, you can run that on people's skin. You can use a wet sponge from the bath. You can use all kinds of stuff around your house to run it on your partner's skin. Play around with different textures and see what they like. And touching them outside of the pleasure triangle, which would be like the nips and the genitals. And basically what I like to explain is wherever it would really hurt to get a tattoo, it's going to feel really good to caress. So think like the inner elbow, the back of the knee, the back of the neck, the armpit. So wherever the nerve endings are really close to the surface, it's going to feel really good to caress it lightly. So running those things on the skin there are really, really great erogenous zones that are not like overtly sexual. So like these are places to touch before you even get sexy. And playing a game of everything but. So these are really great, especially for folks that have been together for a long time. If you know your partner's combination of like, if I do XYZ, they're going to love it and they're going to blast off in 5 minutes. Do everything but that, because you want to discover new hotspots on your partner that maybe they didn't even know about. Maybe all of a sudden you're kissing behind their ear and they're like, oh, no one's ever done that, but I love that. So now you've discovered a new hotspot on your partner that they didn't even know about. So touch them everywhere. Maybe they have a foot fetish that they didn't even know about. Sensory deprivation too is also really fun. So basically the more senses that you take away, the more heightened everything else gets. So if you put a blindfold on and now you're touching your partner, the sense of touch is going to be way more heightened. So running those things on the skin is going to feel a lot more exciting because they don't know where it's coming from. And if you want to take it up a notch even more, you can put noise canceling headphones on them so they can't even hear you moving around their body. So now they don't know where it's coming from at all, and everything is a surprise. And remember, with this, again, I would recommend a safe word just in case they really want to be like, stop or like, no, but it's in a playful way, but you want to still have a way to like stop the scene just in case. And sense of smell. This is very important to me. If I go into someone's house and it is smelling bad, I will not be happy. Sense of smell is really important. It's actually one of the senses that's most connected to memory. So you can, I like to joke around that you can ruin someone's life by creating a memory with your own personal scent. So if you constantly wear the same scent and you imprint on someone, now they'll forever remember that scent with you. You know, toxic things. But anyway, if you want to create a more like energetic session and like, you know, upbeat session, you want to look for scents that are like spicier and like earthy, like jasmine, lang lang, rose, patchouli, peppermint, clove. You see how they're like earthy but still have like a spicy kind of aromatic sense to them. If you want a more relaxing kind of like mellow vibe, they're still earthy, but they're a lot less like sharp and spicy. So like lemon, chamomile, bergamot, sandalwood, marjoram. Like these are more mellow scents that can really like relax the system and help create a really relaxing environment. So using scented candles to set the mood, or oil diffusers, or whatever it is that you like to set the mood, even real flowers or real herbs can do that. Pheromone products are some of my favorite ones. Spectrum has a few. And basically how pheromones work is that they basically enhance your natural smell to your partner. I've had folks that are erotic dancers use them and get like more tips in a night. And even if it's something that's like all in your head and it's just making you feel sexier, like what's the harm in that? It smells good and it's making you more confident. I think that's a win. So pheromone products, they're really great. My favorite one is up there. There's a massage lotion. I think it's True Blue. It smells really good. It makes you smell really good. And it's just a really nice massage lotion. And sense of taste. I've actually written a bunch on my blog about aphrodisiacs. My blog again is dildo or dildont.com. If you type in aphrodisiacs, you'll see all the things that I've written. Aphrodisiacs do work, but they're not a quick fix like a cartoon would make you think. So like you're not going to eat an oyster and then get horny, unfortunately. How aphrodisiacs work is they'll either like relax you or they'll send happy vibes to your brain, or they can increase blood flow. And if they're increasing blood flow and you get horny, where do you think the blood flow is going to go? Somewhere fun. So if you are eating something like spicy and then you start getting horny, the blood will help rush to your genitals. So it's not rocket science. Aphrodisiacs do work, but it's just a matter of making them work correctly for you. So popular aphrodisiacs are hot chilies, chocolates, pomegranates, red wine, coffee, strawberries. These things all will work on some level. They're not going to like, you're not going to eat a strawberry and be like, wow, my libido is off the charts, unfortunately. But, and some things to keep in mind with these aphrodisiacs is if you are cooking with them, if you're cooking with chilies, make sure to wash your hands before you touch anyone's genitals. And if you're eating something with sugar like chocolate or like fruits with like pomegranates and strawberries like that, and then you're going to use your mouth on someone with a vulva, you want to be careful because sometimes sugar and on someone with a vulva can give them a yeast infection. So you just want to be mindful of that. But yeah, aphrodisiacs, they're great. In the moment, you want to forget your own expectations. A lot of folks will put so much pressure on themselves to reach climax that it becomes counterproductive, that they're so they put so much pressure on themselves that they can't reach climax. So it becomes counterproductive. So enjoy the journey, basically. So even if you're not reaching climax, which like I know might sound like a bummer, enjoy the journey and enjoy the pleasure that you are receiving. You will get there. Lots of people that are pre-orgasmic will eventually get there. So you will find the combination to your lock. You will find the things that will help you, the tools that will help you get there, the relaxing things that you can do to help you get there. Whatever it is, you'll find them. Like if you're really invested in your pleasure, like you'll get there. But I know a lot of people stress a lot about it and like it becomes counterproductive to reaching climax. So like, I know it's hard, but you really have to relax and just enjoy the journey. Edging is also a really great way to kind of like play around with that journey and intensify your orgasm if you are someone that can reach climax. And what edging is, if you don't know, is basically bringing to yourself or your partner close to the brink of orgasm, but not letting themselves get over that edge. So the closer and the more like blood flow that you build up and the more lubrication that you build up and the more that you do that, the bigger the release will be when you finally let it happen. So edging can just like, think of it like a dam. Like the more water that's building behind the dam and the more pressure that's happening, and then finally the release, the more that is built up behind this dam, the bigger the explosion is going to be, right? And talking dirty to yourself and make noise. I really, like, I know I put this before, but I really want to drive this home. If you are concentrating on being quiet, that is what your brain is focused on. Make the noise that you want to make, even if it's just heavy breathing. Make that noise. Make sure that you are letting yourself make the noise that your body like wants to make. Otherwise, you're focused on being quiet and not focused on the pleasure that you're receiving. And if you're in your head too much, focusing on sensation. So I mentioned before blindfold and noise canceling headphones. Those are a really great way to focus on sensation, especially if you're someone with anxiety or ADHD. If you are someone that can easily be distracted or have your mind racing, then kind of literally cutting out distractions by having a blindfold or noise canceling headphones on can help you focus on the things that you are feeling, can help you ground you in your body and make you feel the sensations on your skin and help you focus on the things that are happening to your body. And if your mind is still racing, because like as a person with ADHD, I know that just because I'm focusing on the sensations in my body doesn't mean that my brain shuts off. So I love to recommend doing actual literal anxiety techniques during sex. Paying attention to your breathing. So there's lots of breathing techniques that you can actually do. My favorite simple one to recommend is the 4-7-8 technique. And what that one is you breathe in through your nose for 4, you hold for 7, and then you breathe out through your mouth for 8. And what that does now is it helps you focus on your breathing. So now you're kind of pushing all those thoughts out of your head. So you're not thinking about the emails that you have to send or the emptying the garbage or whatever it is that's distracting you. You're focused on the breathing. You're kind of grounding yourself in your body. And if you've ever done any sort of intentional breathing, you kind of get almost a little high or lightheaded. So like it really helps like put you back in your body and kind of focus on what's happening. And if that one doesn't work for you, like trust me, just Google like anxiety breathing techniques. There's a million of them. Try different ones and see which ones work for you. There's a bunch of them. Just because the 4-7-8 technique didn't work for you doesn't mean there's not one that could better fit your needs. Just because they're like not meant to be used or like not intended to be used for sex doesn't mean that they're not perfect for sex. So like trust me, incorporating them during sex can be really, really great. And cutting out distractions, again, like undisturbed time, the blindfold, the headphones, all those things can be really helpful in making sure that you are focused on what is happening in the moment. Temperature play. Okay, so toys that warm up. There's a lot of toys that will heat up, which if you have any sort of pelvic pain and you're doing a penetrative toy, those are really amazing because they can help the muscles relax. Also, when you're doing any sort of warming toy and penetration, warmth helps blood flow. So even if you're taking like a warm shower or bath before you're having any sort of intimate time, it's going to help blood flow to your genitals. So it's going to make everything more sensitive. And I'm not saying to take a burning hot shower, but like if you're taking a warm shower, it's going to help blood flow. There's lots of toys that warm up. There are ones for just the outside. There are ones that go inside. There are ones you can use to stroke a penis. There are ones that can go on just nipples. So depending on what body part you want to stimulate, there are options. So if you're like a warm toy sounds great, they're out there for you. The heating pad trick, if you're someone that enjoys using dildos or wants to start incorporating dildos into your play, but you're like, they don't feel realistic or natural. If you get a silicone dildo, and silicone specifically because it's more durable and it's not going to melt because you can boil silicone to sanitize it. And specifically dual density dildos because they'll have a firm core and then a soft outer layer. If you wrap them in a heating pad for like 5 to 10 minutes, they'll kind of hold on to that heat and they'll feel more like a bio penis that's like attached to a human being. So if you're looking for a more like realistic experience, that's a really great way to kind of incorporate toys into feeling a little bit more realistic. Warming lube versus warming up the lube. So there's two different ways to think about it. There's lube that has ingredients like capsaicin and menthol and things of that nature, and they will go on cool and they'll heat up with friction. And there are great ones like Slickwood Sizzle, and I have this one right here. This one is Joe Anal. This one has capsaicin in it. A lot of them will have all natural ingredients, so like you don't have to worry about like what is warming in the lube. But that is something that I do want to point out, that if you are like, this is a warming lube, and you read the ingredients and you're like, what's warming up? And you can't figure out what it is, I would stay away from it, just because if you can't figure out what's warming, it's probably a chemical that you don't want on your genitals. You want to make sure there's some like all natural ingredient that's warming up for you. So stick to ones like that. But so those lubes will have all natural ingredients that will feel warm on your genitals. Versus warming up a lubricant, making it like temperature warm. So you can take a bottle of lube and put it in a glass of warm water, and then the lube itself will be temperature warm, and then you'll have a warm experience of lubricant. You can do that with massage oil as well. And then you have a warm liquid to use on the body or on genitals. So it depends on if you wanted to like be a warming liquid or be a warm temperature liquid. There's a difference. And then there are massage candles, and then there are drip candles. So drip candles, if you've ever seen like BDSM ones, this one is from Sport Sheets. It is like a body form. This one, when you drip it on somebody, it will leave like the splatter of the wax. I couldn't think of the word wax. But yeah, it'll leave the wax splatter on somebody. And if you want to like have that kind of experience, that is like one way to play around with temperature. Then there's also massage candles. And the way massage candles work is that when they melt down, instead of leaving like the wax strip, they melt down to a warm massage oil. So then you could pour that right on the skin, and then you have a warm massage oil and a candle burning. So I really love massage candles because they kind of take a few different things. You have like the sense of like sight because of the light. You have the sense of smell because of the candle. You have the sense of touch because you have that warm oil. So like it kind of checks off a lot of boxes. Massage candles are like my fave kind of thing. They're amazing. But yeah, massage candles. And warming your mouth. Your mouth is an amazing tool that I imagine most of you have. And if you take a sip of warm water before you use it on your partner, you've warmed your mouth, and congrats. Now you've warmed your free sex toy. And then cooling. So you can put your toys in the fridge if that's what you want. There are toys that are going to be better for cooling, and I would say stainless steel toys, glass toys, they hold temperature way better. And like a lot of the time, because they're firm, they're also really great for body massage. So like you can use them on your partner as like a body massager. They're going to feel really nice, cool, especially if you're going from like rubbing your partner with a warm massage oil and rubbing them with a cool toy. So thinking about it like that, you could also have like a cool massage oil in the fridge and a warm massage candle and kind of play around with the different temperatures. You can also cool your mouth off by taking a sip of cool water before you put it on your partner. Or if you lick them and then blow, like, then it will feel cool. And good old classic ice. There's also this toy that I want to specifically talk about. This toy is from Dea. It's called the Hot and the Cold. And this one is one of the few toys that gets hot and cold. And it has this like temperature plate right here. And this one I really like because not only is it a G-spot toy, it's shaped really great for the G-spot because it has this flat shape. But it's shaped really great to run on people's bodies because it gets warm and cool. You can kind of just tease the body like that and run it on people's skin. So super versatile, rechargeable, waterproof, silicone. If you're sharing it with multiple people, it could be sanitized. Just a really great tool for lots and lots of different things. So, all right. And who loves to please their partner? Hopefully everybody that's here. Otherwise, I don't know why you're here. If you're looking for toys and incorporating toys, I know I started getting a little bit into like how you can incorporate toys. A lot of folks get a little nervous about them because they think they're going to be replacements for them. And they're like, well, why do you need me if you have these toys? I actually just got that comment before on my Instagram. But as I said on my Instagram, you're supposed to be collaborating with them, not competing with them. No one is going to give someone who's short a problem for using a ladder to reach a high shelf. These are tools. They're not people. They're toys. They can't hug you when you cry. They can't take you out on your birthday. They give orgasms, not intimacy. They're not going to be a human replacement ever. So use them as such and call it a day. They're not going to ever take your place. They're really just here to help offer different sensations and add a helping hand where you might need one. So look at it that way. Toys are great. So when you're looking for toys, the first thing I want you to think about is what kind of sensation do you want? Where do you want the toy to stimulate? Do you want the toy to be a vibrator? Do you want the toy to vibrate internally, externally, both at the same time? Do you want it to be backdoor safe? If it's going to be backdoor safe, then it has to have a base. The front door has the cervix. Nothing is ever going to get lost in there. But the back door, the other end of your butthole is your mouth. So if you put something in there like this, even because this does not have a base on it, you have two sphincters. You have an external one that we as an adult can control so we don't poop our pants. And then there's an internal sphincter that's completely involuntary. It's an involuntary muscle. So if your hand is real lubed up and you are real deep in there, and then all of a sudden that internal muscle clenches and it sucks that toy in, you got to go to the hospital, friend. There's really no getting it out there. You might be able to push it out if you're lucky, but you might have to go to the hospital. So without a base, without a trace. So what you want to look for is toys like this. So it's going to have any sort of flared base. Even if a toy has like rabbits that are dual stimulating, that this part is intended for the G-spot and this part is intended for the clit. Even these toys are anal safe because this will act as a stopper and not let it go completely up the back door. So as long as things have some sort of base for the back door, they're going to be completely safe to go back there. So that's really the only rule for toys, is if it doesn't have a base, please don't put it in your butt. If you want the toy to be hands-free, there's lots of options for that. There are toys like grinding pads that you can sit on. There are toys that are like wearable ones that like clip onto you. There are ones that have remote controls. There are ones that have Bluetooth apps. There are ones that will have all kinds of different options to control them. So really just thinking about like what body part you want to stimulate, what kind of sensation you want, because like it could be penetration, it could be grinding, it could be pressure, it could be pulsing, it could be suction, it could be stroking, it could be any number of sensations. So like the options are truly endless. Like it's going to be hard to kind of narrow it down, but it's kind of amazing that like the options are there for you. Basically anything that you can want is likely available to you. So really just coming up with what you want and figuring it out from there. So yeah, that is what I have for this workshop. I am gonna head to the Q&A at in the Field app. I'm gonna put the code back up if people want it. So the code again is 20% off if you use Field at Spectrum Boutique. My name again is Carly. It's Makeup and Sin, and my website is Dildo or Dildon't. And I'll see you at the Q&A.